the bench with Rozzy Sports.
Welcome back to another episode of Off the Bench with Rozzy Sports. I'm your host, RB3, and today's guest is someone who truly represents the full basketball experience. I'm also here with Coach Ron and Coach T. He's a former player, a longtime coach, a parent deeply invested in his kid's college career, and someone with firsthand knowledge of how the game works internationally. From development to recruiting to family to the evolution of basketball. Coach Nimmo, welcome to the show. We appreciate you being here.
I appreciate you inviting
Welcome,
me.
Brother. Welcome.
I appreciate you inviting me. I was looking around for whoever you was talking about, but
Right? Yeah, we did our research a little bit.
I get into the meat of it here. All right, Coach. Before the title and the coaching, who was young Jesse Nimmo? How did you first fall in love with the game?
Well, I didn't have the benefit of the parental structure when I came up, because in my day, you got to realize I'm an older guy, and our parents. Basketball, athletics really didn't pay a lot to athletes back in the 60s. If you weren't a boxer, you really weren't going to make no living. So my parents and them would rather have me work for the city or, join the army or something. They didn't, sports, scholarships, no. My father was upset that I went to University of Missouri. They were upset. They were like, man, you better go get a job at the city. They hiring. That's what he was about. So when I was playing, I learned everything in the park from old heads. We had main parks. We had 3 courts, and the object was to get on the middle court. That was the object. You grew up, you didn't want to play in college. You didn't want to play anywhere. You just wanted to get on the middle court. So the old heads didn't play because if you lost, you had to go home. So you had to earn the right to get on the middle court. Ron know about that. So
Yes,
so between the military, between the military bases and the parks, that's where you learned to play back then. There was no AAU, none of that. So the coaches actually came to the gyms back then. It was a heck of a time back then. So navigating this AAU thing, that was a lot of learning. A lot of see, Coach Ron Brown taught me the research aspect of actually researching where you go. And, so it was definitely an episode. I took a different route than most because playing overseas, after I stopped playing, I was in charge of the developmental program over there. And overseas, it's not about winning. It's straight development. They don't talk about winning. And when I got here, me and Ron, one thing we clicked on is Ron was a developer as well. Ron wanted to win. He wanted to play against top competition, but he wanted to see kids get better. And we had a connection. So I was off circuit with my daughter and stuff like that so that she could develop, I remember the lady, what is the lady magic called? Orlando Miracle. What were they called, the girls? I forgot what they were called. I think they were called the
Miracles. It was the Orlando Miracles.
It was the Miracle. And I remember my daughter went to all those camps for the Miracle. And I remember she was doing everything great at the Miracle. In her first game, she traveled 30 times and she didn't know how to play. She could just do drills. So that's when I realized, okay, we're not going to worry about name brand stuff. I put her in every league possible. The Dynamite, she played in the any Wiley. She played 4 times a week. And the Dynamite was great because there was no pressure of winning there, but they competed. And that Dynamite team put like 4 scholarship players out there though. So that was a great, and it was a good family atmosphere, no pressure on the kids. And that's the type of stuff when you're growing as a player, you need to get, instead of jumping into the fire and not getting any playing time and not getting any better. So that's one of the philosophies that I locked into from being overseas,
Overseas. Okay. All right. So during your playing time, what type of player were you? And how did your own playing style influence how you coach today? What type of playing style?
Well, I was a typical Florida Rebels type player. I was a pure athlete. I had 42-inch vertical, which was big back then for guards. Fast, strong, and no fundamental skills at all. Just I was out muscle you and just wear you out. You know what I mean? So I didn't know anything about skills back then because we had to stay on the court. That's all
Sounds
we cared
like
about.
sounds like you were the first LeBron, huh?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like, LeBron.
Hey man,
No, LeBron has a left. LeBron has a right. LeBron handles the ball, reads screens. I was probably more like maybe, I don't know, give me an athlete, J.R. Ryder or
I'm gonna
Zion
say
Williams,
Mason, Anthony Mason.
well, no, I was pretty than Anthony Mason. I had a jumper and stuff like that.
What do you mean? Anthony Mason had a jump shot, bro.
Anthony Mason was a goon. You know, he was a goon.
Yeah.
He was a tough guy. We had, you know, Anthony Mason fit a formula that you needed on a team. You needed some goons, the Charles Oakleys, the Anthony Masons. Mason was an athletic Oakley. You know, Mason was athletic, but Mason ain't had no jumper. Mason did have some little handle, though. You're right, Ron. A lot of people don't realize his handle was underrated. But I was I could get buckets, and I was very fast, very strong because I was 220, and I had a 29-inch waist, big thighs, and 46. You know, so I was more of I should have played football actually, but football.
Yeah, more like a fullback.
Right. But I played football, and I'm from Virginia Beach, the ocean front, and I played football. My first game, I had 2 sacks, 5 unassisted tackles. I was just destroying stuff as a 9th grader on varsity. And the girls were like, "Did you play?" I didn't get any touchdowns. And I was like, "What?" And I played basketball. I think I had 10 points, and the whole city knew who I was. So we had air-conditioned gyms. I said, "Okay, it's going to be basketball." Because football back then was 3 a days, no water, you know. It was something else back then, you know, because I came up in the Bobby Knight era. You know, we played on. I remember my first day at practice at Missouri. We had trash cans all around the gym with the garbage bags in them. And I was like, "What's this for?" And the upper class said, "You about to find out." And they literally ran you till you threw up. Can't do that stuff now. You know, can't do that stuff now, man. You know, I mean, it's a big different thing, man. Now you have to be more psychological with the kids. You have to be more understanding. That's just the way it is, you know. So, you know, we learned that. You know, when I came up with Ron was really big on teaching and developing. You know, he had some monsters, but they played the right way. Ron was really big on the right way, and so was I. I was really big on the right way. Like Ron. The top of the division at the Dynamite, the top players was treated the same as the new players. We knew everybody's name. We tried to get everybody playing time. Obviously not equal playing time. We spoke with the parents, and we had a rule that they had a rule they set that I set when I coached too is if you put the work in, I'll work with you. If you don't want to work and just show up, then you're not going to get the playing time. You know, you have to show me you're invested, you know, and that's the thing that I use with everybody I've ever coached. You know, when I took over Haines City, they won 3 games in 2 years, and we went 500 my first year. And I had no one on the team with varsity experience. No one. No one's ever had any varsity experience. But we ran the ball up. We opened. Ron knows my system. If I wanted to win, I would have had just one person handle the ball, and that way our turnovers would have been a lot lower. But I had made sure everybody handled the ball. So that means everybody turned the ball over. so you know, but my thing was as we got better, that would have made us stronger when you have more than one person that can handle the ball, you know. So that basically my philosophy coming up. I'm kind of I'm still a developing guy at heart, you know. You know.
All right. So who were some of your mentors or coaches that impacted you mostly during your development, like when you were playing?
Well, when I was playing, I played for 2 Bobby Knight type coaches. I was a JUCO kid at first because we had the Prop 48 my senior year. That's when the SAT stores started coming up, and that was 70 something, and none of us could spell SAT, so we was Prop 48. And then when the time I came out, it was SAT and military academies. So when I came out, I wasn't gonna do the military academy thing. That was, so I went to the JUCO, and we had a coach who coached Ron. RB3, you too young, but Ron, we had Lloyd Free and ML Carr, and those cats was coming out of Our coach had coached them, and he was a Bobby Knight clone. And so I went to Chowan, and interesting enough, they were probably my biggest influence because they were rough, but they were fair, and you had to earn it. And my worst coach was the one I had the most fun with. He gave me the most money, but I just lollygagged. It hurt me more than anything because I never accepted challenges. I always went to where I was the best player and didn't have to work. And I thought I was winning, but in the end I lost. Like when I went to Missouri, I left before the season even started because the coach wouldn't promise me a starting spot. And I went to Missouri, Kansas City, which is like going from the Gators to FIU or something. Not to throw shade on FIU, but in case I didn't have to go to practice, and I was going to drop 19, 20. And I didn't go to practice half the time. But so I enjoyed my time there, but I didn't get better. And I didn't find out until I went to the little tryouts at the Kansas City Kings when I was a little step slow and, didn't have the left hand, didn't have the right hand, didn't have the court awareness, court knowledge. People don't understand all that's very, very important. Like when I look at, I'm throwing praise to Isaiah and AJ, their IQ, especially AJ's more of the IQ one, Isaiah's more of the physical one. But both of them had great IQ. Defensively, Isaiah could see plays before they happened. With my young son, his lacking was he couldn't see plays before they happened. Plays would happen, and then he would try to recover. And if you're trying to recover on a higher level, you're too late. You got to kind of see that before it comes. And we were going to get to that point with him, but I let him go a little bit too early before he was ready to better programs, I thought. They were better programs, but they don't teach. They're just trying to get the win.
Right.
And so it's kind of hard to teach and win. So he's bouncing back. He's doing all right.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
You know what, Coach? That what you just said there makes me just want to ask a question. Like, how do you balance or determine, what your kid needs, like from a parent perspective, because some parents look at their kid and they think, "Oh, he's like LeBron James," but in actuality, he's more like Lehman James. So like sometimes parents have the tendency to kind of amplify their kid's image in their own mind. How do you balance that, while coaching at the same time for all the parents who want to kind of help their kids along?
I'm going to tell you what worked for me. Ron knows I had probably I took over a program called Hoop Dreams. And Hoop Dreams, when I took it over, was one of the single worst programs in Florida, right? It was just rich kids get together and play in Super Six tournaments, right? So they had a really smart coach, but he was teaching calculus to remedial kids. So the kids was always uncomfortable. They were thinking too much. And when you put defensive pressure on people who were thinking, they were just getting wore out. We was losing every game by 40 and 50 and whatever. So he left. And when he left, I took over. And what I did was I kept it simple, stupid. And I introduced film. I had seventh graders looking at film, and I had the parents looking at film with us. So when the parents would actually see, you could see it in their eyes when they could see that their kid couldn't dribble 3 times without losing the ball. And, I wasn't mean to them at all. I would just point it out. I was saying, guys, if you want to play, you can't make this mistake and that mistake. It had nothing to do with making shots. It's just basic stuff. I would rewind. Were you physical on this play, or was the guy pushing you around? Well, like when I played football, it was all about going forwards. Everything you did forwards. You don't get pushed back. And basketball is pretty much the same thing. You got to get into people and go forwards, So at Hoop Dreams, we start watching film and they realize they're not on the block. The spacing is not there. You're over dribbling. You're not getting into the corner. We started to actually focus on those little things, which made everything actually work. Because I recognized early, let me tell you the funniest story ever. Ron came and coached. Ron is on a higher level. They always played on a higher level. So Ron just expected people to know certain things. He didn't realize what remedial was. And he took over practice one day for me, and Ron ran the simplest thing he had in his bag. And he said, Nimmo, look, I'm going to tell you, we're going to run circle. There's no way they can't run circle. No way. And Ron ran circle. The kids, Ron took a look at me after about how long you say, Ron? Maybe 10 minutes?
Listen, man, it was less than 2 minutes, man. I was done.
Ron was like, yo, come on, man. I mean, the play was literally a circle. You run around in a circle. These cats was running squares and X's.
Yeah.
And I just sat there and they were saying, hey, Jesse, come on back up here. We're going to because, Ron, they were always they just played better basketball, so they just knew certain things, And it's almost like when Magic Johnson coached the Lakers, he struggled because just basic stuff he was expecting the people wouldn't do. You know what I mean? So it's like people take for granted. Like Michael Jordan couldn't be a great coach because Michael jumps 45 inches off the ground. And he's cat quick and he can steal a pass from across, him and Deion, they can't teach that. You know what I mean? So you have to understand what you got and you have to be very relaxed pace. And because we didn't travel outside and we played within our means, there was, the kids could feel themselves getting better. Their confidence got better. Mm-hmm. And in the span of what, Ron, maybe about 3 months, we were one of the top teams.
Yeah, we beat the top team at that time.
Yeah, we beat the Rebels. In Powerhouse and all that stuff because we would run our stuff. And it was funny. I played no man-to-man because I didn't have the personnel to play man-to-man. So my philosophy is like, we're going to make them shoot jumpers. And the three-point jumper is took in the place of the dunk where it's too hyped because the kids at that age were shooting 30%. They was missing 7 out of 10 jumpers. And people were trying to stop them from shooting three-pointers like they were barraging three-pointers. They hit 1 out of 7, 1 out of 10, you know what I mean? So I wasn't going to put my defense on, shoot it. And we're in a zone, we got the rebounds, and, we was able to compete on that level. But if we tried to go man-to-man and pressure, man, it'd been layup city on us, So it was a fun time. And then once we started winning, then people tried to take it back over and mess the whole thing up. So,
That's what's up.
Okay. When did you transition from being a player into being a coach? What triggered that shift?
Well, when I was playing in Japan, I was in, one of the lower leagues in Japan. Basically, it's like a ringer league where they get the foreign. It's company basketball, but you get paid. And I was getting, this was 87, 88. I was getting $65K plus incentives to play. And we would play pretty much once a month. And then there was no PlayStation and all that stuff back there in Japan. So when we weren't playing, I wasn't just in my room looking at cable. I was I was out there in the street meeting people and doing stuff. So I was going to the local schools, helping the Japanese shoot the jump shot form and stuff like that. And then the people thought that I was a nicer guy. And plus being a big athlete, an American, I was super popular. So then I turned 31, and it's not like today where all that great nutrition and all that stuff. I was eating buffets and having fun. So my 31 hit me. Back then, Ronnie, most people timed out at 30, didn't they? Most of the people did. Yeah. They timed out at 30, It's like when Jordan made his apex, he took over the league. Bird was 32, out. Isaiah had the Achilles, 32, out. Dumas, all of them was out. And Jordan was primed. I think Jordan was 28 or whatever, prime, and took over the league. You know what I'm saying? So 30 hit me the same way it hit everybody else. So then I started coaching over there. And then I was coaching over there. And then that led me to getting a job on the base coaching. And I got really good benefits and salary and everything coaching on the base. And I took the base team. They thought I was Pat Riley because the people that was coaching the base team was soldiers who never played, and all they knew was, hard charging stuff. They didn't have any strategy. They didn't have any secondary plays. They didn't do no film. They just yelled at each other. And when I took it over, the first thing I realized right away when I took over the base team was these guys were trained to kill me. So I wasn't going to come in there. I wasn't going to come in there. I mean, I had Marines and Army guys, and, these guys were grown men with families. These guys was 26, 27 years old. And you can't come in there just talking at them, So
right.
The fact that what I did made sense, and I spoke with them guys like normal people, and they actually heard stuff they never heard before. And then we started winning. Then we got a big budget. We had the only team. We was on the base getting commercial flights all over the Western Hemisphere. We was flying to Singapore and Korea and playing everywhere on the government dime. You know what I mean? Wow. So if I picked you to play for my team, they called it TAD, temporary assigned duty, where you were no longer in the fields, you were no longer on ships, you were assigned to me at the gym. So,
okay.
The best billet you could have, So and that was great.
And was this for the national team in Japan?
No. I went to the base and coached the armed services team, the all armed services.
Oh, okay.
Team.
Okay.
Yeah.
Armed services for the United States.
Yeah, for the United States.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That was because in Japan I went from coaching the Japan team, the developmental team, to the armed services team, and the armed services team that set me up really, really, really nicely, medical and all that type of stuff. And I stayed there till I was about 33, till 94, 95. And then I just wanted to come home. Japan's great, but after a while, you just want to come home. You know what I mean? So then I came home and I had started my little embroidery business and stuff that I learned when I was over there. And, then I was in Virginia where my old contact stuff was. And,
right.
So
let me ask you. So how did you make that transition into coaching youth?
Well, what happened was, I had kids, and it's funny. My daughter, I had taught high school in Orlando actually for one bridge year before I went back to Japan. I came home in 88 or 89, just before the Magic got here, and I was teaching at Southwest Middle School. Southwest Middle School with Dr. Phillips, and they had just started busing the kids from Richmond Heights to the Lily White Southwest Middle School.
You got some players.
Yeah. So what happened was, what I started noticing was I was one of the few Black male non-gay teachers in the school, right?
Yeah.
So I'm telling you something. So the
politics of it all.
Yeah. So it was crazy because the people had no idea. When I went to the school for the job, I brought my resume, and I met with the principal in person. And the principal seen a 6'3", I was 250 at that time, Black man wanting to be a teacher, and he hired me on the spot. He said, because the Black kids coming in, so
we need security.
Yeah, and back then,
that's not funny, man.
And back then,
that's not funny.
As it was right now, you actually could put your hands on kids back then. So, the Richmond Heights kids was breakdancing and all that stuff, and basically I was supposed to teach art, but they had an in-school suspension teacher. And she was a little white lady, and she had been there with the little white kids forever. And then them Black kids got in there, and they ran her out of there, the sisters and all that stuff. So they said, Mr. Nimmo, could you take over the in-school suspension class? So I took over the in-school suspension class, and it was funny because a lot of them young ladies, kids, because the kids were 12, and the young ladies, the parents was like 28, 29, young ladies. And I would see these ladies in the club at night, and their kids be in school, and the kids be messing up. So then those same young ladies would come fighting with the principal at the school at Southwest Middle, talk about racism and all that stuff. And the principal one day had me in there with them saying, because he was scared, he was thinking that something was going to happen. And I'm looking at the folders, and she's going in on the principal. And I said, excuse me, to the principal. I said, man, Jamal is messing up. He's got letters here. And they said, what you talking about? I said, I seen you in the club. I'm arguing with a lady right in front of the principal. So then, after a while, the principal gave me a raise and made me the liaison between the black community. But what happened was, me and the ladies would talk after the meeting, and she would be like, he ain't got no father. I just really need something. I said, well, Jamal need to ask what he need. And then the woman's like, but I can't do nothing with him. I said, I tell you what, you give me a handwritten note, I'll whoop his ass tomorrow for you. And sure enough, Jamal started acting stupid. I took him in the bathroom and tuned him up. And do you know, in a week's time, I probably had 12 notes. I had 12 notes. I was tuning people up left and right, boy. So what happened was I became the official daddy of all them cats, right? And you couldn't do that now.
Wait a minute. Are you sure these was a box?
Yeah.
Wow.
So the funny thing was, the ladies, we had a big assembly at the middle school one day, and Derek Wittenberg, who had won the national championship at NC State, came to the gym, and he was doing a speech and all this type of stuff. And Derek Wittenberg was like, and you know, so he was still trying to ball or whatever. And Derek Wittenberg was like, you know, if one of the teachers want to come out here, you know, we could demonstrate a little bit. And the whole school was like, get Mr. Nimmo. And Mr. Nimmo comes out there and bashed on Wittenberg so many times, and he wasn't expecting that. And then I became a legend at the school. So now the girls, I had started to notice, the black girls though, a lot of them girls was getting, you know, mistreated by them dudes because they had zero confidence. So what put in my mind off the rap, I learned, and Ron did this with CC, girls have got to do something. I don't care if it's band or whatever. They just can't be out there doing nothing because their confidence level in middle school is very, very fragile. So I watched some girls, they were doing kung fu. Some girls were doing, but they had a center, and their scene was a lot better. So my daughter, I made sure that she was going to do something. So my daughter was in kung fu. This is when we were in Virginia, from the age of 4. She was actually touring China with Bruce Lee's guy. She was that good in kung fu. And her confidence level, because I didn't want her to be zero confidence, right? Mm-hmm. When we came to Florida because the economy dropped and Florida was giving away homes. And I came and bought me a nice home for next to nothing in Florida. And unfortunately, Mr. Lee didn't come to Florida with us. So kung fu was out. So I put her in basketball. And I don't know how, I met Ron. Somehow she was on the Dynamite, and she was horrible. But Ron never made her feel horrible. And the Dynamite team, because we only had one girls team. So they were from age 7 all the way to 12. Right?
Hey man, we had it seemed like we had 5th graders with seniors on.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but the family atmosphere was so good, and Ron put them in the right competition. They played in the Y. They didn't play over their heads, and the camaraderie. Them girls stayed close all the way through high school. Them girls, it was just a really good situation. So it taught me. I watched Ron and them, how he worked with kids, no yelling and all that type of stuff, and very supportive. And then I learned to be very, very supportive, but at the same time have a standard. Ron had a standard, you know, but at the same time, you know, he had a realist thing, because some people just want to win. We're going to win. And then, you know, then when you do that, then you got the parents who don't understand what you're doing because you don't have a rhyme or reason. And then they say, well, my kids should be out there too. And, you know, it gets ugly. So because I had a rhyme or reason, when parents came and talked to me and I show them film, the film was everything. You know, I show them film and say, well, my kid can play just as, you know, like when I got to Haines City, it was too funny. My daughter, who had been playing basketball for years, the parent called the AD on me for showing favoritism to my daughter. The AD comes to the game and told the parent, don't you ever talk to me about your kid again. Because my daughter's putting the work in. You know what I mean? That's like Ron puts the work in. Isaiah was training at 5 a.m. AJ was training at 5 a.m. You know what I mean? And then they go to OCP and practice after school. So the people putting the work in is getting the results. So that's the message we put. Yoshi used to shoot, my son used to shoot 300 shots every day. You know what I mean? So, he could shoot and the film would show the clearance right there. You know what I mean? Like I had one kid, the parent literally said this to me. He said, well, the kid was 5'6", never hardly played. Comes to practice and the mom says, well, I don't see the difference between him and 6'5" Yoshi. I said, you don't see the difference? One is 6'5" and one is 5'5". Right. You just repeat stuff, and you just have to be with the parents to let them know. And the other thing too was Ron did a really good job making it affordable. You got to be careful with the charges of the money, because if people pay, they pay a lot, they can say a lot. So, you got the Super 6 tournaments was $10 each. You got a parent paying $1,000 and the kid's not playing. You asking for trouble.
Right. That is so true.
Yeah. So
what if the kid isn't that good?
Excuse me?
What if the kid just isn't that good?
Well, like I said, if you're paying $10, the parents will be a little bit more patient. And if the kid is not that good, we had situations where the kid, like on that Hoop Dreams team, I had 2 kids that didn't get a lot of playing time. But we blew teams out, and when we were blowing teams out, I made sure they played. But the communication with their parents was a lot, and I would tell the parents right now, I say, what do you feel? Do you feel like the kid is ready to play? And the parents, they look right at the film, and they're like, well, I want him to get ready to play. I said, well, put him in a Y league, get him some supplemental playing, and then you can come back. It's like Isaiah's navigating right now. Isaiah, talent-wise, is as good as anybody on that team at Florida. It's just that there's a political thing going, and I don't want to say too much. But anyway, his time will come. You know what I mean? Just keep soaking up information. I'm looking at LeBron's kid. He's about to get redshirted, and he's making noise. Come on, dude. You didn't start in high school. You're at Arizona. Come on, man. Take the red shirt, get better.
Get better.
Listen, So it is what it is. Sometimes, like I look at Bronny, poor kid Bronny. He's never going to get a chance to get better. He's never going to have the ball. You're a point guard and you can't dribble because Luka, Austin, LeBron, all 3 of them guys ahead of you.
Yeah.
So how are you gonna ever make any type of dent? You got to play the wing at 6'1".
That's true.
So the people putting all this pressure on him, saying, "Oh, he don't show nothing," but he goes to the G League, he has the ball, and he's playing pretty good. But you're not going to have the ball with the Lakers.
Nah, you sure not.
They're
going to get better.
You can't get better if you don't have the ball.
That's true.
And I'm not talking about we all know this one guy. I'm not going to mention the name, but he made sure his son had the ball wherever he went. And consequently, that kid is probably going to be a one and done. And when we saw it, it looked a little crazy, but there was like LeVar Ball. LeVar Ball, I got to meet with him because Yoshi was going to play for him in California when Fuji was out in California. And he said LaMelo didn't have any offers, only Division II. So he created a league in Russia.
So his boy can get it.
So his boy can get it in. And then the boy went to Australia and played point. And then he draft pick. If he had went to college at a Division II school, he would have been playing forward and would have quit probably.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
fact.
You got to go where you fit.
Yeah, that's one of the questions I got for you. What's the hardest part about being a parent in today's recruiting landscape?
But right now, the recruiting thing is just horrible right now. Because of that portal, high school is irrelevant. I mean, it really is. If you're not the top 100 coming out of high school, you better have a really good plan. Like the one family plan that Ron went to, that guy, he knows how to present his players and make his players look good. And, people like to talk about the lack of competition in the Pro 36 and all that type of stuff as comparing to the circuit and all the shootings. But the truth of the matter is those guys' skill set would translate wherever they went. If they went to EYBL, whatever, they would be able to compete because those guys was taught the right way. He ran a really, really good system, and those guys had talent. And that Pro 36 team of his has four high major guys on that team.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they could talk all the smack they wanted about the competition was weak, but them guys look good when they played. They look organized. They look good. And I bit that Kool-Aid by saying, but they said, well, Yoshi needs, because, they were saying Yoshi needs to play against more common. So I fell for that Kool-Aid. And for Yoshi, luckily for me, my plan for him is to be overseas, but that circuit over there, Darryl did an unbelievable job presenting those kids. Those kids look good. I don't care who they played against. So they look so good, it didn't matter who they was playing against. The people that this kid.
But the funny thing is, Coach, it's funny. Nobody ever want to talk about the shoe teams that we did beat.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
right.
Nobody ever want to bring that up.
Yeah, because
we weren't playing nobody, but we beat them teams.
Well, yeah, when y'all played,
handsomely too.
When y'all played the teams here, y'all beat those teams here. Y'all played them EYBL teams and stuff right here at the big house and all that stuff, and y'all beat those teams. Yoshi was on a couple of those wins. So talking that old noise, that's just noise. Basketball
is that. It's all noise, exactly.
So like in today's climate, I would say to the people, I say you have to really, really, truly be honest with yourself. Get an outside opinion outside of yourself. Talk to Terrell, talk to Coach Ron or whatever. They'll tell you what you need to work on and work on that. And then once you get to a point where you are really dominating or whatever, you might want to, you could try to go to a better circuit for your ego, but you got to be careful with that because if they're not going to put you in your spot where you developed, and if they sit you in the corner or whatever, you're going to be going backwards. You know what I mean? So that's my biggest thing I would tell to the parents is if you see your kids developing and he's looking good, you might want to leave him where he's at or speak to, like someone like Coach Betts and Ron, they would tell you your kid's ready for the next one because they don't deal egos. They're not going to keep and bury your kid just so they can win some cheap tournaments. They're not going to do that. You know what I mean? But if they do tell you what you don't want to hear, you need to be able to take that.
Right, exactly. And that's the biggest problem. Parents don't want to hear the truth.
Yeah.
I find that like what helped me along the way was people telling me the truth about my kid. Mm-hmm. And I had to be a man and suck it up and say, hey, listen, I hear you and I think you're right. And then we had to go in the lab and work on it, and, of course, nobody want to hear that their kid need this or they have to do that. But dude, it's the truth.
Yeah.
It's the truth. And you have to be able to take it. And as a coach, you have to be able to tell the parent the honest God truth on what you believe their kid need to work on or the type of level that they play on. Because if not, you're doing the unjust to that kid.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like I used to fight with Ron because I wanted Isaiah to play the point. I fought with him for years. I wanted him to have the point. You know what I mean? And originally Isaiah was going to play the point and Yoshi was going to play the two, but Yoshi got hurt and lost 2 years. And so he had to end up going to the corner. And the last 3 years, Yoshi has been in the corner. So his development with the ball has been severely stunted. And it drives me crazy because I know in today's game, versatility is everything. It's no longer you just shoot jumpers. And you have to. And then defensively, because I coached in Japan the internationals who didn't have the athletic prowess, you had to teach them technique and you had to teach them schemes. Mm-hmm. A player like Yoshi, Luca, Steve Alford, Larry Bird, they can't pressure up and get all up in people's chests. But in America, that's all we know. Pressure, getting people in tests. And that's why the NBA is going international. Because when you're playing against quality players, that pressure ain't going to work. Against quality players. It works when you're better than the other team physically. I mean, I used to press a little bit just to get our juices going. Mm-hmm. But that was because if you look at the college history of national championships, I can only think of 4 teams that won off of just defense. And that was Arkansas, 40 Minutes of Hell, that Kentucky team with Michael Kidd Gilchrist. He didn't last that long. After give me another one of the one with just UNLV. They won one with just
UNLV,
pressure.
yeah.
So we got Arkansas, 40 Minutes of Hell. You had the UNLV. You had that Kentucky team with Michael Kidd Gilchrist. Trying to think who else.
Then when you think of Michigan as well?
Which Michigan?
The one with Weber and Rose and them guys.
But they didn't win one.
Did Virginia win
that's
one?
right.
No,
They lost. That's right. They lost.
Virginia didn't win with pressure though. Virginia was running stuff, man. That's how come the people like to talk bad about Calipari. Calipari was competing with just 18-year-olds, just straight physicality. He would lose to older teams. He would lose to the Wisconsin, the teams that could handle that pressure. So he was kind of treated unfairly a little bit. He should have won. He was playing with 18-years, and he had a new team every year.
Yeah, one and done players.
He had a new team every year. And like right now, if you have a kid in high school, that kid has to have a work ethic, and you have to put extra work. The parents have to be all in. The kid can't do it by himself. The parents have to get the kid to practice and actually pass the balls back to the kid, because the pecking order is transfer portal first. Then they go to the JUCOs. Then they go to the prep schools. Then they'll go to the top 100 recruits in the country. Then they'll go to high school.
Yep. That is so true.
Yes, and now they're getting international kids.
Yeah, now they throw the international kids in there. Yeah, it makes it even that much harder.
That's another category.
23-year-old pros coming in.
Yeah, and the international kids, these kids are 22-year-old freshmen, 23-year-old freshmen who had played pro basketball.
Yeah.
So if you're a high school kid, realistically, you're going to have to look at the JUCOs or prep school for the most part. If you work your plan, you get good trainers like, Ron, and people who has some type of connections, you might could skip something, but you might have to sit your first year. I came out of a time where freshmen sat their first year. I mean, because if I'm a coach, that's you a coach. If somebody's been in your system 3 years and somebody comes brand new in your system and is better than the guy that's been in your system 3 years, I think you must have failed the kid. You know what I mean? I mean, that kid didn't learn nothing. So
especially if you've been in there for 3 years.
That's what I'm saying. So, when I came up, there was no one and done. So we had seniors and juniors. These guys were 22, 23 years old. They knew the system. And the system means a lot. Because, when you go to play street ball in college, before the practice starts officially on the 15th, you play a lot of street ball. Or that's where you get the pecking order. And you are just destroying the upperclassmen and saying, I'm going to be starting. But then when they put the plays in, the upperclassmen run the plays perfect. They hold the screens, they slip the screens, they make correct reads. And that's why they're playing over you, who might be physically better. So that's the type of stuff. That's when the technology of basketball comes in. Like I'm watching my son Yoshi play defense, and I'm watching they got him pressuring up on 5'9" guards, and then you get mad because he gets beat off the dribble. Why do you have a 6'6"? Michael Jordan, the greatest athlete ever, he struggled with the Allen Iversons and the Travis Best, the small guards. It's physically not possible. What's his name? Mahmoud? Mahmoud would kill him. Mahmoud was 6 foot. You know what I mean? But Michael knew enough to put an angle on his ass, force him to Scotty, and then steal that skip pass. That's with that education. That's with that knowledge, that fundamental stuff. Mike played for Daniel Smith for 3 years. He learned some stuff.
Right, he did. He did for 3 years.
And when you're talking about a guy who's prepared with all that talent, that's what makes the greatness. You know what I mean? Just like when Tom Brady played for the Patriots, 10-year run, the same system. You know what I mean?
I don't know, man. I don't know. That's a little questionable now with all this Deflate Gate and
and
all these little.
They had some stuff with them. They had some stuff with them, absolutely. But when Tom Brady got hurt, every quarterback that stayed in, that stepped in, played well in New England.
Yeah, because you got to remember, how did Tom Brady even get his position? You had Bledsoe in the before
Bledsoe
him.
got hurt.
If Bledsoe didn't get hurt, we would have never heard of no Tom Brady.
Because people don't realize that magic year.
That's a fact.
That magic year of Tom Brady, he got hurt towards the end of the season. Bledsoe came back, and
was
they looked
killing
even
it.
better. But what happened was Bledsoe cost $4 or $5 million a year, and Tom Brady cost $300,000 a year.
Yeah, somebody had to go.
Yeah, that's the same thing that
money.
happened with Dak. Romo got hurt. Dak was whatever $300,000 a year. Romo was $10 million a year, and they played well with Dak. They just kept that train rolling. They pimped Dak for like years, and now Dak making $60 million. They trying to get rid of his ass, but they ain't got nobody behind them. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But see, that's the thing. Like, so even with this basketball thing now, talking about that, that's why I'm so against the rankings with this as well, man. Because you go to these camps, which I fell into that trap. I took my son to a couple of these camps, and these kids doing, and I hate to say it because these camps, they ran by some really well-known people. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you get the exposure and stuff like that. You're getting all of that, but dude, all I see is on the 5-on-5 games that they have is just street ball.
Right.
None of the things that they actually went over in the training and the practices and stuff like that. That's how they ranking these kids. So now you got this kid who's a top 100 kid, but now he playing in college. He can't tie my kid's shoelaces who didn't even make the top 100.
Yeah. But a lot of things about those ranking camps too is people who have been going to those camps for a while, paying a lot of money to the directors, they're going to get ranked higher anyway. If your kid's coming in there and he's not paying no money, coming in free or whatever the case may be, if he don't already have a name, a lot of times they do wash hands. They got some underhanded stuff going up there. Like you got kids, like if you're from, let's say, Broward County and you're ranking from Broward County, 9 times out of 10, you're going to rank your Broward County guys higher than your Orange County guys because that's where your money's coming from.
Yeah.
I get it, but you're killing the game, man. You're killing the game, and then you're killing it for the kids who are actually going out there doing the right things to do it. And not saying that those other kids are not doing, they just following what their parents are probably teaching them and what their coaches are showing them to do, right? So I'm not mad at them. You know what I'm saying? Like because every kid needs to have that proper guidance.
Right.
You see?
Right.
And for me, you could call me a hater, but I'm just I can say this because I feel as if my kids are successful where they at.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I can say this.
Right.
I don't need no one to try to validate who my kids are because they out there doing what they do. But I'm going to say this, and I just think there's just way too many dudes out there that is pushing a lot of kids, and they're getting them now because of the NIL stuff. Yeah, they're getting them paid, man. They are, and all kudos to that. But when they get to where these kids really want to go to into the league or some type of professional, you know what I mean? It's not going to fly.
No. It gets real.
It gets real then.
It gets
and then
real.
What are you going to tell that kid?
Yeah.
Don't worry, you got the bag already. Nah, I don't want to hear that I got the bag. I want to have a career in being a professional. I want to have at least 10 years. I mean, dude, wasn't that like 6-7 years was an average at one point, wasn't it? For people
right. Yeah.
Now what is it? The first 3 what is it? The top 13 in the lottery.
You get 3 years.
That's a guaranteed 3 years, right?
Yeah, but it don't mean guaranteed. It doesn't mean guaranteed in the NBA though. You might be in the G League time.
That's true.
I thought
it was playing in the G
top
League.
13.
No, I'm telling you.
Wait.
I've got some people right now, and I don't want to mention names. We can do it off air, but they were lottery picks. They picked the top 10, and they're doing G League assignments right now. A couple of them are local boys.
See, my point exactly though. But here it is. This kid was a top number 1 pick though, probably, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. So like, they need to do away with. For me, that ranking got to go, man, because these coaches are laying in and just really look at these kids and how they play. Because I want to see good basketball out there, man. And we got coaches out here that are taking advantage of this, and we got coaches who really putting their heart out there, and for what? Yeah, you know what I mean?
Because what's scary is the coaches now in college, which really surprised me, is a lot of them are AAU coaches now. They just trying to get 20 wins. They don't teach it. Like when I was in school, I went to my school, UMKC, back in the day was considered a 1AA Division I AA. Now they call it mid-major. You know what I mean?
Mid-major,
and,
right.
And so they have actually lower mid-majors now too. They classify all of them as mid-majors, but they have the lower mid and the mid, and then the power six. But we would get guys who could barely catch at 6'8", 6'9". But by the time February comes around, they can make a drop step, they can make a layup because the coaches we work with those guys.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so when I was playing, I knew I could give the guy the ball, right hand on the block, and I knew what he could do with it. I didn't expect him to do no Akeem stuff. He knew enough. He was going to drop step, go up. If he didn't have it, he would kick it back out. And it was beautiful, beautiful basketball. Now they're going to pick whoever can already make the shot. They're not going to work with him. You know what I mean?
No, and that's fine. That's fine. I don't even mind that they like say the colleges are recruiting a kid that actually can do that, already. So it can make their job a little bit easier. And then of course, because we know in college, it's about the wins and losses, right?
Right.
Right. So
and that's
I don't mind that, but at the same time, don't get lost because he's a ranked number top 10 player and he has zero fundamentals.
Yeah,
that's true.
But the thing is, like you said, it's all about salesmanship too. Like people, they like to kill Bronny, right? But Bronny's selling jerseys.
Yeah,
he's selling a lot of jerseys.
Bronny's selling jerseys, so it's more than the fact. Number one, he's not getting an opportunity to actually develop there because he'll never have the ball. But he's still selling jerseys. He went to the G League and they sold out. My son got to play in the G League showcase with Australia. And I'm telling you, his games is a spectacle. You would thought MJ was playing. I mean, you got the other G League games that play, ain't hardly nobody there. His game sold out. And it's been like that since he was, 7? Remember, Ron, we was at a tournament?
Yeah.
Security.
We played against him. And
I'm talking about, you remember we was down at the balling in the beach? And he had to come to a separate entrance. And so that popularity, like coaches right now feel bad because coaches used to get to graduate their class. A coach would get a job at FIU or South Florida, whatever case may be. He could bring a freshman in and he would stay there at least till the freshman left. Now they fire him in 2 years. It's like, the coaches are in constant panic mode, so they just get people in and they don't have no rhyme or reason. There's no stability. And it's really ugly because we preface winning so much,
Fact.
So it's just crazy,
It's like you're trying to satisfy the corporate beast that wins in the money. And what you're actually doing is you're sacrificing the
integrity,
craftsmanship, and integrity of the game.
Yeah, and it's crazy because and then the people, like if you got a smaller school, I'm trying not to mention no names as far as Division I, but the athletic budget is not even giving them the resources to be successful, and then penalizing them for not being successful. You know what I mean? Because it's incredible. Like I'm looking at Florida football and all that stuff. The SEC is the top dog.
That's true.
Every game is hell. So coaches are coming in there. You're expecting them to win the conference? Man.
Yeah, that's tough.
A lot of pressure.
Hey, Ron,
that's a lot of pressure.
That's tough, man. And then you can have the greatest year that you had like last year, and then this year, because it's like, man, I'm telling you, and then if you do well at that SEC school, you get a bigger bag at the next SEC school. So and then these coaches, the kids have no loyalty, and the coaches will jump.
but the one thing that I think still stands true. Actually, Coach Kim mentioned this. Shout out to her from the last episode. If you are genuine, and you're giving what you can give as a coach, those players are gonna stay with you.
Yeah.
Same way that kids follow Dion. Kids are gonna follow you. If you have their interests, in mind, and they can feel that. So
Yeah. See,
I think that speaks to, you know, if you're a coach and you got people jumping out of your program, you know, stop being corporate.
yeah. You know, it hurts me. Dion, it hurts me because Dion is fighting as hard as he can, but he's just not healthy enough to do, because that energy he had was charging and
Yeah.
going through what he's going through. I mean, you know, obviously I pay real close attention to it because, you know, I'm going through what I'm going through, but I'm nowhere near what he's going through.
Yeah. So, but see,
Talking about,
you know what, Coach, with Dion, he's probably the only coach, you know, and I'm gonna say this, the African American coach that probably can do that because he is Dion.
he's something. I mean, listen, he is fighting his tail, but the thing is, like his first couple of years there when he was healthy, every drill, he was nonstop. He was in
Right.
your face. I mean, I'm talking, his energy was so contagious, but now it's like he's, you know, he's got to take care of himself. So he just can't do. And the kids pick up on that. Because even when I was at Haines City, my biggest probably weakness was I didn't have the energy. So I would try to hire younger coaches. Like, that's the formula. Most the older coaches have grad assistants, young coaches that could provide that energy, and they lay down the thing. But like it happened to Boeheim, Krzyzewski, and all, you get to a point where you just can't provide that energy. Energy is important when you're molding young minds. You know what I mean? You got to have that energy. I'm watching Calipari and these guys get a little older. Because the kids today, they don't study the game like y'all did, so they don't understand who's coaching them.
Right. But see, that's what I'm saying. That's why Dion could do what he's doing, and even with him taking a step back because of his health, he's still Dion.
Yeah, he's still
Dion. So you just can't get any other coach to come and get that same respect,
especially in Colorado, because Colorado's cold, man. Colorado's not a destination. They got beautiful uniforms and everything else, but if Dion was at like FSU or something that's more recruitable, because Colorado, man, I'm telling you, you got a lot of kids.
But he changed that program around.
Oh my God,
they turned it around.
No, what he did for that program, these guys, the haters, are like, oh, he only won 4 games or whatever. No, dude, we didn't even know what Colorado was 3 years ago. You know,
like who's Colorado?
What is that, man? And what he has done, unbelievable, man. So.
Yeah, man, that undeniable leadership is gonna surpass all the hate,
right?
Surpass all the media scrutiny. You know, it's gonna do that, man. And unfortunately, yeah, he is he's catching the bad end of the politics. But he know the game he signed up for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but I gotta tell you,
let me ask you.
His son is a mentally strong kid, boy.
Oh yeah.
Good grace, he's a strong kid.
So let me ask you this. So what's one of the messages you would want to ever give an athlete that is listening to this program right now and listening to you? What is one of the things that you would leave with them right now if you had a chance to give to a young person?
I would tell them that the will and the effort has to be top shelf. Like when I played, I was a blessed guy, and I took the easy way out every single time. I would just go to where I was the best, and because of that, I didn't really develop. And then once I got with people who were skilled and developed, it was harder for me. People, because when I grew up in my day, we didn't use the left hand like we use the left hand now. I mean, if you look at Dr. J and Clyde Drexler and all these, they didn't have no left. You know what I mean? They did, we just was athletes. We were physical. Mm-hmm. These kids right now, they have to run every sprint the hardest they can run. They can't be afraid to get tired. They have to do whatever the coach says. You got to do it to the best of your ability. Don't take any shortcuts. That's the biggest thing I would tell a kid right now. When I took over Haines City, I had to swallow a lot because we didn't even have a team. I literally had to go to the lunchroom and recruit players because nobody wanted to play because the team has only won a couple of games in 3 years. You know what I mean? So I had to recruit players. I had to pacify them a little bit. At practice, I could only push them so much because then I wouldn't have a team. And then we ended up winning a little bit. And people start giving more effort. So you get a coach like you and Fred who demand the energy and the effort. I would tell a kid, go as hard as you can on everything. When I played in JUCO, our coach wouldn't let us start the game. Our starters, when we warmed up, we had to sweat. If we weren't sweating, he wouldn't start us. And the more you get in shape, the harder you have to go to sweat. So for those 20 minutes, we was going 1,000 miles because you have to sweat. He's old school. He said, you're not going 100%. 100% been 100% back then.
Yeah, you did. Hey, 90%. Hey, look, if you're not giving it your all, you don't have to be out here.
Exactly. Yeah. And
nobody else would want to be in your shoes.
Yeah. Now, as far as making the shots and all that stuff, that's something you can't control, but you can control your effort.
Your effort.
So
yes.
I would tell the kid, the fastest way to play for Coach Bell, Coach Barnes, is you bust your ass. He'll find a way to put you on the court because he feels like he owes it to you. Correct. All that skill or whatever. He'll put you in the back of the 1-3-1 or the top of the press or do something because you've given him everything you've got. But if you out there loafing and then you're whining and then it ain't gonna work out well.
You want to hear something funny? It's funny you say that, right? I'm gonna tell a quick story with one of my boys. I'm not gonna call him out, but he'll know once he listens to this. But I remember putting teams together. I don't know. You probably remember him saying this, Nimmo, because you've been around me a lot with this. But I will always pick the kid nobody want.
Right.
I always picked him up. And he'll come to me, Dad, hey man, he can't do this. He can't do that. I said, son, just trust me. I said, that kid wants to play. He wants to learn. So he's going to do everything that I ask him to do. He's going to do everything I ask him to do because he wants to be there. You know what I mean? I got 110% from that kid every day, every game. He might not have been the best, but he learned out of the however weeks he's been with us. Because most of the time it's usually like 8 weeks when we're doing the little tournaments and the little leagues and stuff. But out of the 8 to 9 weeks that he's been with us, he came out a better ball player.
Man, that's all you
like Coach T, were you talking about? I showed interest and love to that kid. He showed it back to me, and he wanted to be back on my team again that next year. To the point where he got himself a scholarship. You know what I mean? Kids got himself a scholarship. And I had to tell my son, I want the kids that nobody wants because they got a, and not for nothing, right? You look at me, right? And this is how I always live with a lot of things with me, right? I was a football player. Everybody looked at me like, dude, you about $110 wet. You know what I mean? Like, but that was my fuel. So I wanted to prove everybody wrong that doubted me. You see, so I wanted that kid that everyone's pushed to the side and doubted, so I can teach him to be the best player that he could be, to prove those other people wrong. You know what I mean? That's what I'm all about. Like even right now with my kids who are facing adversity, you know what I mean? Yo, I want that adversity because at the end of the day, you're not gonna be able to break them. You're not. And that's why I thrived, and I always wanted the kid nobody wanted because that kid has something to prove, not just to him, but to everyone else. And now I said that backwards. Not to everyone else, but just to him to know that he can do it. Yeah. You know, and be successful with it. So yeah, you're right. And I'll never forget that. And now to this day, my son look at me, Dad, you know what? You're still crazy, but I understand.
All right. So when you look back at your journey, Coach Nimmo, player, coach, parent, what are you most proud of being a coach and just being a parent? How are you most proud of?
My most proud moment is when I coached my daughter's team. We were non-circuit. I had 11 players. 10 of them I had 3 years, and I got 11 scholarships. That's my most on a non-circuit team.
Oh.
That's the most proudest thing ever. We were non-circuit, and we would play because the girls' side and the boys' side isn't as separated. The boys are more separated. You have the EYBL, the Pro 36, Adidas, and all that. The girls, you have the EYBL circuit, but Kim would have her teams in the in Raleigh or the Run for the Roses along with the non-circuit teams. They'd be together. And my kids, no quote unquote 5 stars, but my court would be packed with scouts because they liked the way we played and we were fun to watch. And my girls, I got 11 scholarships. I've got 2 Division III grant aids, and I've got 4 Division IIs, and I got 6 Division I's. Mm-hmm. So that's my most proud moment when you can get your whole team signed. That's what it's about, man. So that's my proudest moment.
That's great. Yeah. So, what does success in basketball really mean to you now, especially?
Well, for me, it's always meant that my players getting better. Me and Ron got the same philosophy on that. Some people, because like the champion thing, you know how they say Steph ruined the game with the 3 because he was so prolific at it. He made everybody want to shoot the 3. Michael Jordan ruined the game with the 6 for 6 because he was so successful. People think 6 for 6 is the bar. Nobody's going 6 for 6 ever again. The parity is way too deep. Like John Wooden won 10 national championships, and nobody uses that as a bar as a great coach. You know what I mean? Because nobody's going to win 10 national championships again. Nobody's going 6 for 6 ever again. When Jordan played, everything, the system was perfect. Jordan was perfect. The health was perfect. No injuries. If people stayed together. Scotty wouldn't stay with Mike 10 years.
What was that, Coach?
People stayed together.
Man, was that a thing?
Yeah, exactly. People stayed together.
Yeah.
People stayed together. So, you sit there and look. Like, what's funny to me is old heads, and I'm an older head, like to kill LeBron for having enough sense to get out of Cleveland. Only an idiot would stay in Cleveland. LeBron did everything in his power to try to get people to come to Cleveland. These people are like, man, you tripping. I'm not going to live in Cleveland. You know what I mean? So him staying in Cleveland, he'd have been lucky to get 1 chip. You know what I mean? So he went to Miami. And we literally are mad at him for leaving Cleveland to go to Miami.
I have one question. Coach, what is there to do in Cleveland?
Exactly. Dude, listen.
Joking Noah, baby. That was funny.
Ron,
that was funny.
I have an uncle. He played for the Cleveland Browns. And he played for the Philadelphia Eagles. He was on their Super Bowl team that lost. And he got traded to Cleveland. And we talking prime Cleveland with Bernie Kosar and Wes Matthews and all them cats. They were going to playoff runs. So my uncle played starting defensive lineman at Cleveland. He lived in Strongville, Ohio. I go to Cleveland with him to help him move in June. And then I come back down there in August, and we were going to open a big and tall shoe shop. He was going to set me up. He was going to pay me 6 figures and all this stuff. And I said, this is the greatest thing ever because Cleveland, beautiful women, black community and everything. He made a mistake and brought me back to Cleveland in December. I told him, you can pay me $1 million. I'm not living here, man. I'm telling you, you're talking about dismal, man. It's just cold for no reason. And Bron tried to get Chris Bosh to come. Now he got Kevin Love because Kevin Love came from Minnesota.
So he was like, "Oh, that's warm."
I mean, Kevin Love's from Cali, but he was in Minnesota, so he's got Kevin Love to come with him, and Kyrie was already there, But LeBron looked up, and I think when he left, Kyrie wasn't there. Right when he left.
Kyrie. Yeah, I think Kyrie left already.
No, Kyrie hadn't came yet because Kyrie was a high draft pick. When LeBron was at Cleveland wasn't getting the number 1 draft picks.
Kyrie wasn't there.
Cleveland was winning 60 games a year when LeBron was there.
That's
so
true.
when LeBron left, Cleveland won 10 games or 20 games or something. And that's how they got Kyrie. You know what I'm saying? But he tried his best because he's an Akron boy. He loves that place. But he realized right away, just like KD, that the heat from the Jordan winning was on these guys. Man, I gotta win a chip, or people gonna think I'm nothing. Because back in the day, Julius Erving, LeBron is 40% in the finals. He's 4-10, right? Or 4-6, whatever it is, right?
4-10.
Something like that.
4-6. He's 4-6. He went to 10 finals. He's 4-6.
Oh, I understand.
Yeah. So that's 40%. Julius Erving was 1-4. He was 25%. But nobody kills Julius Erving.
Nah.
You know what I mean? We love Julius Erving. He got his one ring.
Come on now. Okay, now you're going to go do some history, though. When Julius Erving, he came over from the ABA.
Right. But he lost 4 NBA championships.
Yeah, he might have, but you got to remember the ABA, and then you had the NBA at the time.
Right. Yeah, he won in the ABA.
But the ABA was better than the NBA. They just didn't have the money.
They had better
That's
talent.
why that merge came on.
Yeah, they had better talent in the ABA. The ABA won't admit that. That's why they won't honor. They won't honor any of the records.
There was a story about Dr. J having to, when he went over to the Nets, he was so good that he had to tune his game down because he was outplaying everybody on the court.
That's probably true.
So,
but the thing
is,
that's
one of the reasons why he's not going to get that riff. But then no one was. I mean, no, I can't say that because there were some ballers back then, but no one was as athletic like how Dr. J did it.
But the doc, like Jordan, it's not just athleticism; they're graceful. They're pretty to watch.
Right. He was pretty with it.
He's pretty to watch. I mean, LeBron is not pretty to watch. He's a big, giant, strong guy, and because he's so strong, like Shaq. Because they're so strong, you don't recognize that they have skills. Because Shaq jump hooking and Shaq could play. Shaq had spin moves and all types of stuff. But we just know him for just tearing the rim down. And LeBron is a runaway freight train. He's not as pretty as Mike. Mike in the air, gliding and all that type of stuff, So, aesthetics has a lot to do with it. You know what I mean? Like Ray Allen's jump shot is not much better than Reggie Miller's, but Reggie Miller's jump shot ugly as hell. Ray Allen's
he got that two hand shot.
It's pretty. So, and you look at Jerry West. This guy was 1-9, and he's the logo. And so like we talk about Bron's 4-6. Bron was only favored in 2 of those finals. He was the underdog in 8 of them, and he lost 6 of them. Well, that Mavericks one he was favored, but that Mavericks team, we completely disrespect that team because Yoshi's godfather is Bob McAdoo, and I know a lot of people close to the situation. That Mavericks team was good. They swept Kobe. That Mavericks team was good, but we just
I'm staying away from this argument.
No. I put the argument up because y'all beat up on RB3. Y'all beat up on RB3 last week, and that's RB3. I'm telling you,
I ain't beat up on RB3. All I'm saying is Jordan's still my GOAT. That's all I'm going to say, and I'm going to live by that.
You can't argue that, though. I'm not going to ever argue that. My GOAT is Kareem. Kareem is my GOAT. You know what I mean?
Listen, no one talks about Kareem, though.
Hey, listen.
No one ever talks about how good that dude was.
Because he wasn't as pretty as Jordan. You got to realize, Michael Jordan, Nike Jordan, Spike Lee Jordan, man, everything hit at the right time. This guy had the shoes. He had Spike Lee money. It's got to be the shoes. He was winning on TV with his own shoe. His gear was fly. Because look, Michael Jordan, I knew some guys, because me and Mike, I'm about 2 years older than Mike. I think maybe 2 years older than Mike. And I'm from Virginia. We used to run a lot of the same dirt. And them girls used to dog Mike out, this ugly alien looking guy. But his game was so strong, he became cute. He became sexy. You know what I mean? So you cannot sit there and yell at anybody for following Mike as the GOAT. I mean, come on, man. You have to give the man, where I jump in is when you sit here and say LeBron James is garbage. He couldn't have played in the 90s.
I don't think nobody ever said LeBron is garbage.
Oh, man, you got to look at my feed.
Nah, nobody says he's garbage. It's
No,
just
that's
that
garbage.
I can't call him my GOAT. I just
Well,
can't
no,
call
but
him my GOAT.
that's fine. But after you gonna tell me that people don't say LeBron couldn't have played in the '90s all the time? They say he was too soft to play in the '90s at 270.
Listen, the way he complained right now, I don't think he could have played with against the Lambeers and all them dudes.
Dude, you know it's so funny. I'm gonna have to show you the feed.
He go up against that Piston defense. He crying like a baby.
Hey, hey. This is what's so funny. When the people show the Michael Jordan flop feeds, that goes away. You know, Michael Jordan flop feeds because flopping. Vlade Divac is the one that bought that flopping.
Oh yes, he was horrible.
You know, Vlade Divac. But LeBron James, just like Shaq, I know several NBA officials. They flat out tell you that Shaq and LeBron gets beat up so much to the point where LeBron started doing that shit just to get half of them calls. Because he's 6'9", 270. You can't just let him go to the hole. You got to hack him up. You know what I mean? So LeBron, to get a call, just started overselling. I agree with you on that, Ron. Sometimes he'll oversell. I mean, I think one time he got fouled by some guy weighed 100 pounds. LeBron went all the way out
right.
You know,
and that's the stuff I be talking about. Like, come on, man.
Right. Yeah, but you know, it's gamesmanship because they do that stuff in baseball and all that stuff. You know, you got to keep them officials because we're all guilty of that. If you got some guy who's a stud, you might not call. You tell him you got to play through it. You know what I mean? You know, so so that that because LeBron, I mean, he's the only guy I know. If he picks the wrong avocado, his legacy is at stake.
Nah, I agree with you, man.
That was the one thing.
He's great, man. I'm not even going to lie about that. I just want to see dudes just play tough ball. That's it.
That was the difference that I was going to mention that nobody really mentioned. You know, you have a multi-zillion-dollar media conglomerate, you know, trying to make money, you know, so they have to create a narrative. You
gotta have a villain.
Narrative.
You gotta have a villain.
You know, you got to create a narrative so that you know to keep the people interested. So
who's gonna be the villain when he leaves, Ron?
That's a tough.
They're gonna start. Yeah, they're gonna.
No, they need to get my boys out there.
No.
We can be the villain.
Like, no, what?
Yeah, bring my boy. We be the villain.
I don't know. Right now, I don't know. Right now, it's like KD, but he's about to retire too. So
yeah, he about to retire too. Man. I don't know what we're gonna do in the Olympics, man, because them boys is coming. France, Canada, Serbia. I don't know what we're gonna do in the Olympics, man. I don't know if we can do it with Halliburton.
At the end of the day, we still are the skilled teams out here, man.
I believe it.
The boys they do have out there, they got a lot of skill and heart. You know what I mean? Not saying that the other places don't. But you know, we still have that stick, man. People still want to try to be as good as we are out here.
Yeah,
we just have to make sure we put it together the correct way.
The NBA is still the creme de la creme. It is what it is. You know what I mean? Because you can do whatever you want to do overseas, but at the end of the day, you measure yourself by being in the NBA.
NBA. Yep, exactly.
So
exactly.
It's gonna be interesting. Cause I look at that team because I don't know if Joel Embiid is going to play with us. I don't know what we got, man. Because you know, I don't know what we got.
We'll find something.
Somebody come through, huh?
USA, brother.
We got young stars coming around.
Well, but our young stars will be playing for Puerto Rico and Japan.
All right, yeah, definitely. I would definitely enjoy you having out here, Coach Nimmo. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and experience. Your journey is one that so many families, coaches, athletes can learn from, and we appreciate you being here and all your wisdom today.
Hey, boss guys. More than basketball, let's get it.
More than basketball, let's get it. Rossi Sports, baby. Oh yeah, find that subscription and subscribe, man. Like, pass it on.
What's the Fuji will find it for me. She'll show me how to do it.
All right. Hey, Coach Nimmo, thanks for having me on, man. You have a blessed day, you know.
I'll be me and you, baby.
All right. All right. To everybody, remember to stay off the bench. Have a great rest of your day.
Peace. Bye-bye.
All right. Easy, guys. Easy.
All right, man.